All right, this is show number 75, Light Painting. And tonight we have a special guest from our Facebook group, Jeff Wickliffe. Did I say that right?
Yep, you got it right.
Jeff, and he's going to talk to us about light painting, some interesting photos that he's put in our Facebook group, and giving us some details, but there's still some questions. If you watched last week's show live, after the show, we spent probably 10 minutes, right, Seth and Tim, on talking about Jeff's photos and trying to figure out a couple of them. Specifically, we could not figure out how to do it, but so Jeff hopefully will answer those questions and let us know how he's doing those. They're very interesting and something I want to get out and do. But before we do that, I want to go over a couple of housekeeping things, and one of them is after this show, the Drobo giveaway. After the show, the Drobo giveaway, I'm going to get with what's his name, Jim Collison. Hopefully he's not out there listening to me. Going to get together with Jim Collison from the Average Guy podcast, and we're going to pick the winner. We're going to do the random selection of the winner, and I'm not quite sure when we're going to announce it. We're either going to announce it tomorrow or live on his show Thursday. So the entries were closed yesterday, so hopefully you've already got your entry in and are set up and ready to go with that. If not, just wait. I'm sure we'll do another one at some point in the future. I also want to mention that the March Photo Challenge, the topic for that is signs. So if you have, in order to enter that, you have to be a member of our Facebook group. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, we'd love to have you come over and join us. How you find it is go to Facebook, groups/jpeg2RAW, the number 2 and then RAW. And you can also find a link on our webpage, jpeg2RAW. Come and join us and join the conversation. We have a lot of interesting things. That's how we found Seth. That's how we found Jeff. Tim and I were already there, of course, and a lot of interesting things going on there. I did get some questions before the show and pre-show about where's Kathleen, because we've done a number of weeks without Kathleen, and Kathleen, poor thing, is still suffering from morning sickness that lasts forever. For her, unfortunately, it's not just morning. It is, and she is always going to be up in the air about whether she can make it or not. So to be safe, more than likely, most shows she's not going to make, unfortunately.
Poor girl.
Yeah, and hopefully that as her pregnancy goes on, that gets better. I think long term, she is going to be a struggle for her to come on most shows, but I'm sure she'll make some cameo experiences. Cameo appearances.
That's a new word.
It wasn't that hard when I was pregnant. I wasn't that. I didn't get.
I have a feeling that Seth,
got
just
four
like
guys here. This is just going to go downhill fast. I feel it.
Okay. I have a feeling, Seth, like the rest of us guys on here. I don't know about Jeff, but I know Tim and I. The work was all done by someone else.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Well, on the back end, okay, I'm done. Oh. I'm done.
Okay, and where? So where can they send?
Gina's already got your number.
Where can they send emails to? If you want to
MrSess.com.
No. Send them to you.
If you want to crucify Sess, his email is we'll talk about that in the show. No, but we wish Kathleen the best. She does have 2 young boys, so having another one is going to be difficult to come on a show. The show does take some commitment to do it every week, but I'm sure we'll have her on every once in a while. She still posts out in the Facebook group every once in a while, and she's still taking some clients. Every once in a while, she's posting some photos out there in the Facebook group and on her page of some shoots she's doing. I think I don't know this for sure, but I think she's actually slowing down a little bit in some of those, taking some of those paying clients. So I talked about
I would love to see.
You would love what?
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say, I'd love to see a picture with her camera in hand with the basketball belly and everything doing a job.
Oh, she's got quite a few months before that comes.
So, you're assuming she has a basketball belly, Sis.
Well, I'm just saying pregnant people look pregnant. That's all I'm saying.
It depends on the stage of the pregnancy.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I hope she's not out there. And I know she never listens.
She would have got it.
I know she never listens to the recorded show. Kathleen. So we can pretty much say whatever we want.
She's out in rehab. That's really what this is all about.
Oh, no.
But, I mentioned the March contest is signs. And, the way we pick the topics is the winner of a previous month gets to pick the next month's topic. So it's always we're having some good topics. Signs, like anything, signs can be taken a number of different ways, and you can pick what that means to you.
Yeah.
So get out there. You got to be a member of the group and everything. But before we go too much further, I want to talk about the February contest, because entries to that have closed, voting has closed, and the way we vote, if you've never done this before, the way we vote is members of the Facebook group like their favorite photos, and then the top 3 of those then go to the admins, and the admins then vote on which ones they like better, or which ones they like in what order, whatever, and then we do an average ranking, and then that person wins. So this month, let me get these ready. Let me get rid of our lower thirds. This month we had 3 finalists, and I'm going to show each one of the 3 here in a second. We had this one by our very own Gina Perry.
Yay.
And that is P-A-R-R-Y, unlike the way I keep spelling it, P-E-R-R-Y.
We're trying to get her in Google Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can't find her in Google Plus because I spelled her name wrong. Then we had oh, hold on, I got me in the background. We don't want that. Then we had this one by Lisa Price Dash. Hopefully I said your name wrong. If not, I mess up everybody's name. But that one's by Lisa.
I think that's actually my favorite.
Yeah, and we're gonna go back to these in just a second and talk about each one a little bit. And then we had this one by Heather Chesky. And
There it is.
Yeah, and you guys might be seeing it in a little bit of delay. So I want to go back to the Gina one, and we're going to talk about this one for a second. For me, I love the focus. Is nice and sharp. I actually like it as a black and white. I wouldn't have mind seeing it as a color, but I think one thing that black and white does for me, at least, is by removing a color, you get the pure emotion of the photo.
Mm-hmm.
I think a black and white photo portrays, in general, maybe not always, but in general, portrays more emotion than a color photo, because you're not distracted as much by the photo. And what I thought when I saw this one, although I'm not a mom, so I can't feel the same way that she did, but to me it looked like, for whatever reason, he's either just hurt himself, he is sad about something, and she's comforting him.
Mm-hmm.
So what are y'all's thoughts?
I was kind of right along the same lines with you, Mike. I liked how it isolated the picture from it. I liked the fact that it was off to the side with the background showing a building back there, but you can tell it's a building, but it's not drawing your focus there. And the emotion of the mother with her son is just, it's a powerful picture. I mean, I really was tossing up between this one and the next one, and I go over why I like the other one as well, but I really liked how this was framed. I think maybe that's most of what it was to me also.
And I debated a couple of things here on this one. Is the framing of the house, where you can see in the upper right-hand corner the lightness. My first thought was, that's a little distracting. Let's get that out of the way. Then I started thinking, well, if you cut that out, one, it might be a little bit too tight, but two, then I'm not quite sure what's in the background. I lose some of the framing of what that thing is back there. By having that thing, I can clearly see that's a house back there. Whether it adds anything to the photo or not, I'm not quite sure. But at least I've gone back and forth on whether I would have left it that way or not. I think in the end, I would have left it like this, where I can tell that it's a house.
Right. I think without it, you can't tell it's a house. Plus, the light there kind of bounces off the fact that his head's got the little halo around it, which is the light from it. So I kind of utilize the two of them together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I just really like this photo. I like it on the left third. I like the rim light, just like you guys both said, around the boy's hair and along his back, a little bit on the mother's shoulder. I like the fact that, just like you were talking about, that house portion is there, because if that was cropped in and you couldn't see that white, which would eliminate kind of the outline of the house, it would kind of take away, possibly take away a little bit from the environment. When you see that top outline of the house, you're like, okay, they're outside home. Maybe something just happened. That's just kind of how I think of it. But also, as far as the black and white goes, I totally agree. That's what I had put in my comment. When you remove color from the equation, it takes away a distraction, and I think it's automatically at least a little bit more emotional. So as far as emotion goes, this drove more emotion to me than the other pictures did.
Yeah. And Seth, I'm sorry I did not read your comment, so if I stole your line there. We thought about it.
Okay.
We thought
Yeah,
about
I
it.
understand.
You didn't
He
read
fell
it.
off a trampoline and was crying. That's what that was a picture.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So now the next shot is of a mother and a baby, and in this one, I love the emotion on the mother's face. You know, she's, you know if you've been a father, if you know the connection between a mother and a child, and you definitely get that here where the mother is so emotional with the child, and then the child. I love the blue eyes. You can't tell too well in the stream that we're showing here. You really need to go into the Facebook group and look at this one. I don't, just a second ago talking about the black and white thing. I don't know if that actually would have added to this photo. I don't know. It'd have been interesting to see. The color in this photo doesn't distract that much to me. And I
actually really like the color processing.
Yeah, I do like the color process in this one, and I like that I can see the blue of the boy's eyes.
Well, and I like that he's looking directly at the camera and just him looking at it. I mean, the contrast between her not looking at all and him looking directly at us here, that brings, in my eyes, that's the emotion. That's what I like the most about this picture, his expression and looking directly in the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I really dig the color processing in this because it's very muted and kind of subdued, and it really draws you to his eyes. His eyes are like the spotlight of the photo. And the look on her face is just like unconditional love for her child. So
Exactly.
I think there's a little more emotion in the first picture, but for some reason I just really dig this one the most of the bunch.
Yeah, I like this one too. And we haven't announced the winner yet, but the thing is all three of these are excellent photos, and it makes our job tough. Now this last one, and so the first one was Gina Perry. The second one was Lisa
Price
Dash, and then this last one here is Heather Chesky, and this one's totally different than the other two. A totally different emotion, and I love the laughter. It makes you, as soon as you see it, it makes you smile. At least it does. To me.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me smile right away.
You sure you didn't read my comment? Because I said it exactly that way.
How about I just let you go first, Seth?
No. It's not. No, I am with you. Okay, I'm done.
No, I should let you go first.
I like the focus of it. I like the color. I love the smile. As soon as you just like you said, as soon as you look at it, I mean, you can't help but smile because it's just there. So
So the thing I debated on this one was, and I don't know how you could have done it. You couldn't have done it in this position. Is whether having a closer shot of her face smiling or laughing would have been better. You do miss that if you did it that way. You do miss the fact that she's so much into the laughter that she's bent over with laughter.
right.
Yeah, the body language.
Yeah, you would miss the body language. So, another excellent photo. And Seth,
Well done.
Tim.
Huh? Me? Why me? No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, it's well done.
Okay. So now we had to pick a winner. And I don't have a little drum roll or anything that we can do. But the winner of the February contest emotion is Gina Perry.
Yay!
Gina, congratulations.
Wait, that was a little late.
What?
No, we did the man yay. There we go.
There
That's
it
what
is.
we want. That's
Much better.
good. We like
Gina, excellent photo. All three excellent photos. Gina, Lisa, and Heather, all three great photos. And it was tough to pick a winner. And really, all three of them, we like all three of them, and it was really tough to pick a winner. And if y'all could at earliest convenience, is send me at jpeg2RAW at podcast at jpeg2RAW all the links that you want to have, attached to the photo. We'll put these photos into the show notes, and we'll have the links to that and whatever name you want to give them. So I wanted to go over, before we get to Jeff here, make sure we got enough time, because I don't want to cut too much into time. And we need to let's do this real quick here. There was a couple questions out in chat. I don't know if you saw in the Facebook group, Seth. I don't know if you saw there's one, the flash that you mentioned last week. Somebody bought it. Did you see that post?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
Do
bought
they
some
enjoy
Flash.
it? I gotta check out for that. Yeah, I love the Flash. I think it's great.
Angie Snodden.
Ah,
She bought
yeah,
the YN 560. Is that the one you mentioned?
yeah, I got the 562.
Yep.
And she's in the chat right now, right?
Yeah, I don't know if she's in the chat right now,
Or at least she was earlier.
but she bought yours, so she had a couple questions. So if you don't mind, go and check that out.
Sure, I sure will. It's in the Facebook group.
Yep. And
Will
then one more question, and this is something that every photographer faces. I've talked about backup, so I'm not going to talk too much about that right now, and I'm going to do this real quick. But one of the things that us as photographers, Jeff going out there and shooting the light painting. I know Seth does a lot of shooting. Tim and I do in sports that we do. You produce a lot of content. You produce a lot of files. So the Tim Fisher, who won the giveaway that we did for the On One software, he had mentioned he got the software, all that worked out great, but he's running low on drive space. What I would recommend you do is be thinking 6 months into the future. How much you're going to be shooting 6 months in, over the course of 6 months, over the course of a year, whatever it is. How much are you going to be shooting, and what is your storage space? What you don't want to do is get caught. You come home, you stick in your memory card, your 32 gig, your 16 gig, whatever it is, memory card, and you don't have enough space to download that card. And you have to start deleting stuff or finding other things. Be thinking about 6 months into the future, and making a plan to store those things locally or on an attached storage or whatever you're going to do, because you don't want to be caught in that situation. I think in Tim's case, I don't know how he ultimately solved it, but I don't think he had enough storage space to install the software. I think he had 1 gig of storage space left, and that is just dangerous. One thing is you get low on hard drive space, it actually gets less efficient. The hard drive gets less efficient, and I don't want to go into this too much, but it does affect every photographer at some point in time. You want your main photos you're working on to be on internal storage, and then the photos you're not working on directly at that moment can go in external storage. And then think about an off-site storage like CrashPlan. I use CrashPlan, and I have, now I think I'm up over 2 terabytes of storage up on CrashPlan. And it just keeps cranking away. It works really good. And I've even used CrashPlan for things that are not photos. So my son was doing something with his schoolwork, and I was able to pull it off my phone and get his schoolwork on the phone and do something from that with my CrashPlan app. So it's very handy. Any thoughts there, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I never really push my storage anywhere close to the limits. As soon as I see I'm getting in, even half full, I always pick up another external or another solution, Yeah,
and so I know you may be saying, okay, that's great, Mike. So what are some ideas? How do I solve that? So I have 2 ideas, and there's tons of ideas. So I don't want to list off 1,000 ideas. I'm going to give you 2, and then do some research and see if these 2 work for you. One is a Drobo. One of the beauties of a Drobo is you can use various hard drives, different sizes, and when one fills up, you can take that out and put a larger one in, and it'll rebuild the array. Drobos are a little bit more expensive, so unless you're winning one from us, that's going to be a little bit more expensive. Another solution is what I personally use is a device called MediaSonic. And I'm sure Tim can eventually put a link out there. MediaSonic. I use their RAID box, and you do have to buy all your hard drives up front, all the same size, and then if you fill it up, you're going to have to buy another one. But I use that, and I'm generally thinking at least 6 months, maybe a year out in advance. So I make sure I never get close to running out of storage. All right, that's enough on that. It doesn't sound like you guys are too interested in that.
No.
All right, so
I was bouncing between. I was listening to you, but I'm answering that question and then thing. So sorry.
Oh, in the Facebook group. So
yeah.
So let's get to the main topic here, and that is Jeff and his light painting. And let me try and get a photo here. I'm gonna get the first one that we had. And I got our thumbnail at the bottom, so it's pulling away a little bit from it. But this is one of Jeff's first ones that you posted in a group, Jeff, where you're on a railroad track and you're spinning something and it's creating a shower of sparks.
Yeah, that was actually the first light painting thing I did, period.
Yeah, your very first one. I can see a little bit of an outline of you inside the center of it. So won't you tell us? But I mean, for a first try, that is amazing.
And the kind of scary thing is, I only did the one shot that night, and then I packed up and went home. So it wasn't. I did like I think 2 test fires without any, with just a long exposure and not even standing on the tracks, just to see how it would line up. Mm-hmm. But once I started spinning, that was the one shot I did, and then I went home.
Wow!
All right.
So cool. You basically did one shot. So can you tell us the setup on this? How do you make the sparks?
Well, basically, I've seen this done a number of times, and I went out and I found a tutorial. There's a number of really good tutorials online you can find if you just type in light painting or steel wool. It's regular commercial grade steel wool, really fine. They say anything from a 0 to a quadruple 0. And basically what you do is you pull it apart so you get a lot of air in between, and you stuff it into a regular kitchen whisk. So the kitchen whisk acts like a basket to hold it in place so it doesn't go flying. And you separate it as much as you can, get some air in there, and then you ignite it with either a match or, believe it or not, a 9-volt battery. If you rub a 9-volt battery on it, it'll ignite it, and you just watch the sparks crawl all around, the steel wool. And then once you start to spin it, it gets more air. As it gets more air, it starts burning hotter, and it starts giving off showers of sparks. Definitely be very careful if you're going to try this. I want to caution everybody. I went out and bought a little fire extinguisher to bring with me, and I did this in an area that was freshly covered in snow and everything was wet, and made sure nothing was going to catch fire.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, at what point do you feel like this might be dangerous?
Well,
but you read ahead, so you knew the game.
I don't live in the best area, and where this was done was an industrial section, so I was more worried about getting mugged than burning something down.
Okay.
Were you worried all about setting yourself on fire?
Not so much. I mean, I've grown up with fireworks and, done all kinds of dangerous things in my youth, so this was actually the least of it. Essentially, it's not much different than a sparkler.
Okay.
You don't really get too burnt by the sparks or anything. I was wearing gloves. I was wearing a hat, like a winter cap, full winter jacket, so I was pretty much covered all except my face. But, a couple of sparks did bounce off my skin. It's basically like a sparkler.
So you say like a sparkler. So a sparkler, whenever it hits your arm, it really doesn't hurt that much. It just kind of bounces off. I guess one of the embers stays on there, it might hurt. Is that pretty much the same?
Yeah, pretty much same principle. It's like you might feel a little heat from it, but you're more concerned with where it lands on the ground, before it goes out.
Does it go out pretty fast once it hits the ground?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, like I said, on this particular night, it had just finished snowing, like literally maybe 10 minutes before I set up the shot. And it was 11:30 at night, probably 26 degrees outside. So, everywhere this was showering down, it was hitting snow. So it went out pretty quick.
Yeah, I've seen a photo of someone doing one where they're standing in a water fountain. They're doing basically this, and then the other person's got an umbrella, and it's just pounding the umbrella.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
That is
so
cool.
You went from that. All right. Uh-oh, guys.
The underground one.
We just had something happen there.
What happened?
We've been hacked by China. Man, they're getting everything now.
All right. We cut out there
Chat
for a
says
second.
they can still hear.
He cut out there for a second. I don't know what happened there. All right. So y'all can still hear us. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it came back.
All right. So you went from there to this tunnel. And I don't know if this was the absolute next one, but it's the same. It's the same theme. So I'm going to keep with that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the next in line. I've only done a handful so far. I'm still progressing with it. This was just feeling it out to see what I could do, and I was dying to get into a more confined space so the sparks could arc and bounce off the walls. So as it turns out, I work up by the Palisades Park System in New Jersey, and it's just this massive area of parks. And part of that park system is there's all kinds of drainage that goes under the highway for all the runoff for the water to go under the highway. And this is actually under one of the major highways. So this tunnel's only about maybe 6 foot, squared. So it's really tiny. So I had to make sure I shortened my rope for the spinning so I wasn't bouncing off the walls. But I figured there's probably about 2 inches of water I'm standing in at that point, and I figured it would make a really great reflection of the fireworks.
Cool.
Yeah. So what is it like in this tunnel without that light? Is it really dark?
Oh yeah. This was actually done during daylight hours.
Oh,
so
okay.
It was done on my lunch break.
That's how I spend my lunches.
Yeah. So
fire.
So I actually had to walk probably maybe 50, 60 feet up into the tunnel to get, a dark enough spot where I could expose it properly.
So let's talk a little bit about the exposure. So what kind of exposure times and f-stop and that kind of stuff are you doing? What to get? Now you said one of them was, at least this one was during the day. The train track one. What time of day was that?
That was about 11:30 at night.
Okay, so let's talk about the train track one. How long did you? What was the exposure times on that one?
I believe that was around 30 seconds. I'm set up. My camera's set up on a tripod in front of me, really low to the ground, and I had a remote shutter release, and I think I might have even set it on a timer for this as well. But the overall exposure is around 30 seconds, between 25 30 seconds, and I think this was like in f8 I started at. And ISO 200, which is actually the lowest my camera goes. And I exposed for in the setup. I set up a little LED light where I was standing, so I could set my exposure and set my focal point, and then switch it to manual. So you basically freeze the the focal point.
What kind of lens were you using on it?
It's 18 to 70. It's a very basic lens.
Did you have it? Did you have it all the way down to the 18?
Yeah, it was wide open as far as I could get it, and because of of the potential risk of burning it down or getting knocked over, I just brought basic equipment. I didn't bring any expensive tools out in the snow.
Not for the first shot.
And
bring somebody else's and not worry about it.
I know on chat they're saying, I don't know if I'm brave enough to do this. So not all of yours were spinning fire.
No.
So we're gonna show one now that's in that same tunnel that is not spinning fire at all. Tell us what you used.
Ooh, the pattern.
Yeah, tell us what you used to create this one.
This was actually the same day. It was right after I did the fire spinning in there. It's maybe a few minutes after I just left the camera set up, left my focus on, and I picked up one of these. I don't know if anybody can see it out there. It's
not well, but
that's what he did the other one with. Okay, all right, cool.
Let me come back.
So I don't know if you can focus on that.
Yeah, just a second.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, you can, but they can't.
Oh, because you got the thing on the thing.
On the bottom there.
I'm getting this set. Hold on. All right, Jeff.
All right. So this is basically it's a Sylvania light wand. It's got 4 LEDs in it, and you can hook it up, spin it, and it's pretty durable. It's actually made of aluminum, so you can whack it against the wall. It'll continue to light. And basically all I did in the tunnel was, stick it out in front of me. And I have a thing for infinity patterns. When I used to illustrate, I used to put little infinity signs in all my illustrations. So I just thought it'd be cool to try and make an infinity pattern. And I started close to the camera, maybe 3 feet away. And I did the infinity as I walked away from the camera to get that effect. And the great thing is with the long exposure, it doesn't pick me up at all, even splashing in the water, because I was moving away from the camera, but it picked up the reflection of the light in the water, which was great.
Okay, so go ahead.
I really like the reflection on that one. I just think that one's it's just really cool. I like this one a lot.
So in this one, you're actually holding the device.
Yes. It's just handheld, moving back and forth as I walked away from the camera.
And is there a little on-off switch on that?
Yeah, it's got a little thumb switch on the end, so I can just, one-handed even, as I'm moving it around, I turn it on, turn it off.
Ah, that's going to explain the final question.
Yes,
that we had.
yes, it will.
I knew that's exactly what we were looking for.
Yeah, because when I was looking at this photo, this one, I wasn't quite sure what you were doing. I thought maybe you had something you were spinning, but you can see where the lines kind of end, and I can't show you guys with my, you can't see where I'm pointing with my mouse, but you can see the lines in the upper left-hand corner.
Right. That's actually where it started.
Oh, that's where it started. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Because then as I backed away. And that, you know, that was just pure test, and I just liked the way that it looked. It actually reminded me, I don't know if you guys remember the old movie, The Abyss.
Yes.
The lights coming out of the water. That's what it reminded me of as I was processing. I was like, wow, this actually came out pretty cool, so let me post it.
Yeah, I like that. I like the reflections on the wall. I like the fact that you're actually, and this is the beauty of long exposures and all that, that you're actually standing there doing this, and you don't show up at all.
Yeah.
How far do you think you step back? About 10 feet, 15 feet?
Yeah, I probably did about 15 feet. I was trying to put some distance, because if you do it too close together, it just looks like a blur. So I was trying to put some distance in between it so you could actually see the movement.
And this is on the same lunch break, right?
6 to 7 infinity loops, it looks like.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, if I had to count them up, maybe even a little more than that, maybe close to 10.
That's a great effect.
Thanks.
And I like the light on the floor, on the water. That really
reflection.
I like that too.
That water was moving pretty rapidly. I mean, this is a drainage line. So basically, the water's moving really fast. I had some concern as to it maybe even toppling my tripod.
Oh wow!
So I weighed it down a little bit. I took a little brick from outside and bungee corded it up underneath.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know if people know you can do that. If your tripod has a hook or something on the bottom of where the center column is, or that center area, you can actually attach a weight. Sometimes I attach my camera bag there to have more weight and give more sturdiness to your tripod.
Yep.
Sandbag maybe. Yeah.
Sandbag. Yep. That's actually why I always carry a ton of bungee cords in my bag, because you can bungee cord anything you want, even if you don't have the hook.
Well, Seth carries around sandbags.
Yeah.
I do actually. I got 4 in my trunk right now.
That's great.
Are you serious?
They're perfect.
You really do?
Yes, I really do.
Oh,
They're in my trunk right now. I got 4 of them.
I just hang my camera bag underneath.
Yeah.
So the one that confused us last week that we were debating on after the show is this one.
Which I missed the debate altogether because I couldn't make the show.
Yeah, it was. If you watched last week's show, the recorded version, you did not see us talk about this one because it was after the show. And that's one of the good things about coming to the live shows. You get to see our mistakes and some of the post-show discussion. And Jeff, I know you last week, and we had a little bit this week, but last week we had like a 20-plus minute delay. 74 shows, our first time being more than 5 minutes late. And I really appreciate the live chat people hanging out there. If you listen to the recorded version, you never even knew that went on.
Yeah, but I jumped on and I caught some of the chatter, but I wasn't getting any video and it didn't look like the show was going, so I hung out for a little bit, but then I had to get out of there.
Well, and some people out there saying, I don't know if I want to go into a strange tunnel, and that's probably a good thing even for a guy. Jeff, maybe you're more manly than the rest of us.
Especially since you said you were afraid about getting mugged out in the open, so you're like, well, let me go in a tunnel.
It may be
with running water.
Sometimes my common sense is trumped by my curiosity. So
photographic awesomeness.
And not to be sexist, but if you're a female or a male, you may want to think about bringing along a buddy or two.
Yeah, that's actually one of the main problems I have is I'm kind of a lone wolf when I try these things out, and not that I wouldn't have people that want to try it out, but I want to perfect it before I let people watch me do it. So I go out and do these things by myself, and I always have to let somebody know where I am just in case I don't show back up.
And speaking of that, and I think, I'm like that too, Jeff. And I don't know, maybe this is a photographer thing that a lot of us, we want to do our own thing. We're not, I think a lot of photographers are lonely, photographers. For me, I don't want to feel any pressure from the other person. If my wife came, who is very patient and all that kind of stuff, I still would feel pressure about, I need to cut this short because I know she's really not enjoying this, even though she's not saying anything.
Right.
She's patient to a point, right?
Yeah, she's really being good about it. So there are a lot of times it may not be practical to bring somebody else. So maybe the thing is, try this in a safer area. If you have a dark area that's safe, maybe try it there. Maybe your own yard.
Yeah.
Don't burn it down.
Well, let me rephrase that. Not the fire thing, the light thing.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, where I live, I'm in an apartment build. Well, not an apartment. I'm in a house. But it's an apartment, and we don't really have a yard. And this whole area right by my house is all very urban, so I don't have a great many spots I could do this. So I actually work in the Inglewood Cliffs area, and that's a lot more rural. So on my lunch breaks, I go out into the parks and I just explore different spots. Yeah. And you know, I kind of earmark them to come back and do different photography things later.
Inglewood.
So okay, so we saw this one last week, and now let me take a guess at what happened, because now that I see that you've got the light stick, I have an idea.
Okay.
So let me tell you my idea, and you tell me if I'm wrong.
Let's hear it.
So you have the light stick, and where I see the 4 dots down below is where it started. You did at least one circle, probably one circle. One circle. Then you turned it off and dropped it. Maybe there's something soft underneath or something. You dropped it, and then you hit the flash. How close am I?
You're pretty close.
Okay.
Just as a quick backstory, there's this guy Dennis Calvert. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. He does these amazing circles of light with all kinds of crazy patterns, and that's actually what I was tinkering at trying to do, and it just didn't work out. So this is the end result. Basically, Mike, you're right on most everything. But this was actually mounted on a light stand. I took a paint roller, this trusty paint roller right here, and basically, because I duct tape everything, duct taped the light bar right into the handle of the paint roller, and
held on to the roll,
and then you actually duct tape again, my friend, right onto the light stand so it'll spin nice and smooth. So that's how you have the circle. So afterwards, I just had to shut it off. Once you shut it off, it disappears from the frame. And the weird thing is, what I didn't expect, I did several attempts at this, and I was trying to get in front of the light. And my theory was, once I shut the light off and I step in front of the area where this is and fire a strobe, I should appear to be in front of it. But that's not the way light works. So every time I fired it, even though I was standing 3 feet in front of where this light wand actually was, it still appeared to be in front of me in the frame.
Oh, so this light wand would have been several feet behind where you are in this pit. See,
exactly.
I wouldn't have figured that. That I didn't think.
Yeah, and I had no idea either, because I was trying to get the effect of it actually spinning around behind me.
Right, but once the light's burnt into the frame, it didn't matter where you stepped, it was burnt into it.
Right, and it always appears in front of you no matter where it is in space of the actual frame. So then once I figured that out, I was like, all right, well, let me put my hands up like I'm holding this light. And that took maybe 3 or 4 tries for me to get my hands somewhere in the vicinity of where the shot actually was. And then basically once I had the composition right, I did 1 revolution of the light wand. That's where you're right on that, Mike. And those dots are actually where it started and ended, I guess. I would say probably where it ended, because there's a little bit of a bright exposure until I actually shut the light off. Okay. And then I stepped in front of it, took my pose, and I had a small speed light on a floor stand with a remote trigger about 4 feet in front of me on the floor, pointing up at me. So
that was a great evaluation, Mike.
Yeah, and that is really creative. And using the paint roller, I'd have never thought of that. That is
smart.
Well, I was looking for something that would give a nice smooth motion, because I've seen it done before. I've seen people use drills. I've seen all manner of mechanisms and stuff. But I'm not going to go spend $60 on a drill just to tear it apart to do one shot.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know if everybody in chat understood it. Let me go back over it just a second. So you tape the wand onto the handle end of the paint roller.
Correct.
And then how do you attach that to the stand? What kind
I just use a generic light stand. Basically, you take the roller and say, this is the tip of your light stand. I just run it right through the center of the roller.
Oh, okay.
And actually, for this instance, I just used a backdrop clamp.
Okay.
And I clamped the whole thing onto it, so it was pretty nice and tight. And then when it's facing the camera, you get a nice smooth motion. So I actually stood behind it and made 1 slow revolution to give a nice exposure of the light. Stopped it where I started it.
Right, because you don't have to go fast. It looks like it's a fast movement, but it doesn't need to be fast. It needs to be accurate.
It's all an illusion.
Yeah,
An illusion. Someone said David Copperfield. There you go.
It does give you that thought. It does give you that thing because the way you're holding your hands out there like that
Jazz hands.
And
Yeah.
actually, the flash lighting is awesome too. The flash of you is really good exposed.
Well, coming down from the bottom really helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I figured, given the nature of how it was going to end up, where the light looked like it was in front of me, I wanted it to look like the ring of light was actually lighting me up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it does come across that way.
To me, okay, so you said a magician or something like that. I didn't get that at first. I didn't get that idea. When I look at this, I thought two things. The very first thing that I thought is, why isn't this blue man blue? The second thing,
thanks a lot, Sess.
Just saying, no, I'm just kidding. But no, the second thing that I thought, after I really did think that, was that no, the second thing that I thought was that you kind of look like a one of the Lost X-Men or something, or maybe Professor X doing like a mind blast or something. Because it's a superhero shot. I'm just saying.
It's actually really funny that you said that, because as soon as I posted it, all my comic book friends, said Havoc, because in the comic books.
I was gonna say that, but I was like, it's not coming from his chest. So for accuracy's sake, I did the brain thing with
That's exactly what I said.
We know each other. We're like this.
Yep.
I can't get over the fact that the light rings are actually behind you.
Yeah,
that I wouldn't have guessed.
That really screwed me up at first, because it wasn't what I was going for. But now that I know, I'm gonna try a few more shots, something in this vein. With I have sequential blinking LEDs and some other cool stuff to do, but I'm gonna need an assistant, because I actually need to stand in front of them as you spin it in order to have it black.
I'll do it.
All right, Seth. Come on out.
You're gonna have to fly me out, though, brother.
Well,
I'm a lot closer than you, Seth. So
I was gonna say I'm on a budget, so I could maybe swing. I could swing a bus ticket, maybe.
Okay, all right.
Well, you know what I want you to try next, and as I was doing some research on this, Jeff, I went and looked at light balls. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh yeah.
And let me see if I can find.
I actually have a
jump rope trick in it, or shoestring.
You can do the string, and there's other people that use bicycle wheels, actually, to do the domes and then wrap it around.
I'm going to play this little video, and hopefully we don't hear any sound. Let me refresh it so we don't. Let me start from the beginning. And we can talk over it so that if it plays sound, I'm going to have to stop it because I don't want to do that.
We can play commentator. We can be commentators.
Yeah, we can be commentator. So what this guy did, and he has a little video here, and Tim, here, I'll put. I don't know if I can paste this over here. This may not work. Nope, that won't work. I'll have to put the thing out there. But basically, he's doing like a 17-minute exposure, 18-minute exposure. He's going at f13. Sometimes he's actually going all the way up to, if it's not a full moon. If we had a full moon, actually, if he had a full moon, you have to go to 40 minutes. Wow. And so what he's doing, and you'll see this happen over time, is he's got, I think, something on a string, and he's spinning it, and he's going around in a circle. Right. You'll see that here in a second. Then he does that for a while, and then he takes a flashlight, I think it is, and just kind of paints the area. You giving us a little light show there, Jeff?
Yeah.
This kind of goes a little slow here, so it's not very exciting right now. And hopefully you guys out in chat are not hearing that. They're asking for a link, please. How in the world can I get the link? Here, I'm going to give it to you guys in chat.
Yeah, I can copy and paste it if you have it.
I gave you the link here in the chat, the group hangout chat.
Oh, okay, I got it.
If Tim or one of you guys, if you can put it there, so you can see him now. He's got two things, and he's speeded up the video, so he's not really going that fast. But he's got light at both ends, and he's spinning it. Can y'all see that very well?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I don't think I can make it that much bigger without messing everything up. He's spinning it around, and then you're going to see him. He's going to stop here in a second, and then you're going to see him take a flashlight and start painting the area.
Yep.
There, that's what he's doing now. So now he's painting in the middle of the frame with his flashlight. I don't know how long he kept the light on certain areas, but he would go around and paint the area with that. And we don't need to watch the whole video here. Jeff, you put the link out there so you guys can go see it.
It's in the show notes as well.
But basically, let's see if I can find the final image.
It looks like you had it down. Yeah.
It's a little bit further down. This is the final image, I think.
Yeah, it's a really nice effect.
Yeah,
Super
so
cool.
basically you end up with this ball of light. You don't see him at all, and you have this ball of light. And I've seen people do that like in fields, in different parks, and this is a non-dangerous thing. You don't end up with sparks flying everywhere. Like your light stick.
Yeah, exactly.
And making
They actually... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say,
Go full frame.
for stuff like this, they actually make kits, and they're called poi. They're a little plastic ball with a hinge on the end, and they light up. And you can get them commercially online, and they hook them to chains or cords, or you can mount them on sticks, and they're used for all kinds of things. But you can do this kind of effect with them.
I think that's my new cardio workout plan. I'm gonna do that. That looks awesome.
Alexander, I can't make it go full frame. The image is whatever size it is. Sorry. But you get the idea, and we have the link out there. We'll put it in the show notes, too, if you're watching this afterwards, so you can go look at it. He does go, this guy, I should give him credit for whatever his name is. Let me go
This
back.
guy is fine. He's probably cool with that. This guy.
No, I'm gonna give a name, and so I don't get everybody sick and me rolling around on the webpage. I'm going to go back to us. Debs Slater.
That's one I don't know.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Richard Steinberger is the one who does the painting. The article is by Deb Slater. So if you go there and you look at that, you can see he goes through a lot of details. Jeff, watch the key in.
Oh, sorry.
You may have to mute yourself if you need to do that.
Sorry.
But he goes through a lot of details on not only how he set it up, how he took the shot, and also his post-processing on that. He did do some post-processing in that. It's a very cool thing. And if you do, I love the sparks that you were doing, Jeff.
Yeah.
But if that scares you a little bit, you can do something maybe like your light stick and get out there and do that.
Yeah, I definitely, I go a little more dangerous route, but I'm actually working on the next piece that I'm doing. Is going to be a fire poi thing. They make these things that you can actually light on fire and put on chains and do kind of like when you go to Hawaii and you see the dances that they do with the fire sticks. I want to do something like that.
You're gonna do a dance.
Yeah. I'm not wearing the loincloth though.
Well, and Jeff is a member of our Facebook group. We mentioned that before, and Jeff has posted a lot of interesting photos out there. You did the one where you were, I think, covered in flour or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't have that one readily available to show you guys, but you'd have to go to our Facebook group and search for it, or Jeff's Facebook page and search for it there. And just briefly, tell us did you toss flour in the air? How did you cover yourself in flour?
Basically.
Or was it flour?
Yeah, no, it was flour because I didn't want to poison myself with anything else. Anytime my wife goes out with the girls and leaves me home alone, I do something really strange photographically. So she never knows what she's going to come home to. And
okay.
I had seen a number of shots done with powder, with flour. Most of them were action shots, and I wanted to do something similar. So I basically just grabbed a bunch of flour, put it in a bowl, and used a makeup sponge to apply a whole bunch of it all over, and then just did a really extreme close-up of like a 3/4 shot of my face, and then did a lot of post-processing on that one to darken it up and make it kind of creepy and
tribal.
Yeah, kind of. So it had like an angry energy to it. But it ended up being my profile picture for a really long time because everybody loved it. There it is.
Yep, here it is. I did find it. Ha ha ha. Yeah, no, that is cool. So your wife, did you get it all cleaned up before your wife came home?
Yeah, she had no idea. Actually, I didn't even tell her I did it. I just posted my profile picture, and she went on and said, "What the heck did you do while I was out?"
Who's that creepster on your page? Oh, that's me.
That's me.
That is awesome. We I'm glad you're a member of our Facebook group. We have a lot of creative people out there, do a lot of creative things.
Oh, thank you.
And we wanted to bring you in, not just for this one, but for the light painting thing. I love that stuff. That is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just getting started with it. I appreciate you guys having me on to talk about it. I'm by no means an expert. It's all new to me, and I like pushing the limits and learning all different types of photography. So
You know that you going out there and trying the train track thing, and maybe it's successful, maybe it's not. In this case, it was. I liked it. I thought that was a really good first step. But you know, if you go out there and you try something new and it doesn't work, hey, at least you learn something from that. You know,
exactly.
you learn every time you learn what doesn't work, that's one more thing that is out of the way. So you know, just keep trying. And we are at the hour, so I'm going to cut us off here pretty quickly. Jeff, where can people find you and see more of your work and keep track of what you're doing?
Well, I'm in the middle of revamping my website right now, but for the moment, I have it pointed to my Facebook fan page until the new site's up and running. So you can get me at jeffwickliffe.com. Last name's Wickliffe.
And I think it's Jeff.Wickliffe.
Nope. It's my email is jeff.wickliffe if you want to get in touch, but the actual website is jeffwickliffe.com.
On Facebook?
No, just the URL. The URL will point to the Facebook page.
Okay.
For now.
That's where it brought me to.
Yeah, so I'm actually revamping it. I have a lot of new landscape stuff that I'm selling and shows and stuff, so I'm revamping my main website for to actually be able to order prints and stuff right from the web. That'll be
awesome.
That'll probably be up in, I'd say, like another week or two.
But at the very least, people can buy from your 500px, right?
Yeah, they can buy from 500px. Cool. They can find me there. They can find me on Flickr. I'm everywhere.
Everywhere you want to be.
Yep. There isn't a social media outlet. I'm not on Google Plus, Twitter. Just search Jeff Wickliffe on any of those, and you'll find me.
MySpace.
Very good. Thank you.
Well, I don't know about MySpace.
Jeff, thank you very much for coming out this week.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure talking to you about those, and I'm glad we were able to solve the big question of how you created that image with the circle rings.
Well,
that had us confused.
You had it pretty close. Aside from just the light being stationary on the paint roller, you were dead on.
We had it pretty close after you gave us some of the information. We didn't have it that close last week. If you'd have listened to last week, we were struggling with how you did that.
Yeah, I wish I could have heard some of that.
Yeah, we did not publish that part of it, but that's the good after the show stuff. Seth, thank you for coming out this week.
Yeah,
how
no
can
problem.
people find you? And what do you have planned coming up?
You can go to sesswhite.com. That's the shortcut to the About Me page on my business site. But as far as what I have going on, my focus for the next little bit is going to be working on a documentary I have going on. So we'll talk about that another time. I don't want to soak all that up, but
cool.
But yeah, I got a lot of projects. So.
Seth, we glad to have you here as one of your projects and coming in and filling in while Kathleen's out.
Absolutely,
definitely appreciate you coming in. Tim, I ask you every week, but yeah, whenever I'm wrong, you can correct me. For Tim, for Tim and I, you can catch us and really any of our previous guests, or even Seth, if you want to get a hold of somebody, if you have a comment or question about the show, if you have guest suggestions, anything like that, send us an email at podcast@jpeg2RAW.com, and I will either pass it on to the right place or take your comment or question or anything like that. Jeff, you mentioned the Google Plus page, so we do these shows using Google Plus Hangout. We now do have a Google Plus community. Google Plus has added communities, much like the Facebook groups. So we've added a Google Plus community. There's not a whole lot of members in there, not a whole lot of posting going on, but it's brand new. We just started it up. So if you're big into Google Plus and you're wanting to get involved in the show, that is a good place. The one thing I think Google Plus does some things that Facebook doesn't do. They both have their strengths and weaknesses, and one of the things they do better, I think, than Facebook is the displaying of photos. Their photo displaying their albums is just really a step ahead of what Facebook does. So if you're out there on Google Plus, go out and join our community and join there. If you're on Facebook, we'd love to have you in a Facebook group. Come out there. The show is available if you're listening to this live, or if you're listening to this on someplace audio or video or something like that. We do a audio feed and 2 video feeds. We do a video large and a video small, and we're available on Stitcher, on iTunes, on Zune and BlackBerry, on YouTube, just about anywhere you want to get it. If we're not somewhere where you want to get it, you let me know, and I'll work on getting us there. I will say that we found Seth, or Seth found us, I should say.
Yeah.
through Stitcher Radio. And, you know, Seth, I don't know if you know this, but our Stitcher audience, which is audio only, continues to grow. It's growing. It's one of our fastest growing places right now is on Stitcher Radio.
Man.
If
Yeah.
you're listening to us through Stitcher Radio, you know, and you were saying, wow, I'd love to see the photos that we just talked about on Jeff's. I do put them into our Facebook, our posting, our blog posting of the show. But you can also, if you want to, get the video feed. You can't get it through Stitcher, but, you know, like I mentioned, you can go out to YouTube or you can go out to iTunes and get it that way. You know, think about joining our Facebook group so you can join in the photo contest and all that. And if you are buying from Amazon, Adorama, or Newegg, you know, use our affiliate links, which is real easy. It is for, and let's say Amazon, they all follow this path. Amazon, or www.amazon.jpeg2RAW.com. And then the show will get a small credit, and then a jpeg2RAW with a 2, jpeg2RAW. The show will get a small credit. It costs you nothing extra. Doesn't change any of the price for you. The show gets a small credit, and then we pass all those earnings on as gifts to the winners. As giveaways that we do with the show. And if you are on iTunes, if you want to help the show out, an easy thing you can do is go onto iTunes and leave a review, hopefully a positive review. Leave a review, and the more reviews we get, the easier it is for people to find us. That's one of the rankings things that they do to rank shows on iTunes. Number of subscribers and the number of reviews is the theory, at least. Coming up, we have the Drobo giveaway that we'll be announcing here quickly in the next day or so. Entries are already over, so if you haven't entered, I'm sorry. We'll do another one in the future. But be watching for a post. We're not going to do it live on our show. We may do it live on Jim's show. If not, we'll do it as a post in the Facebook page or something like that. And with that, I think we're done. I think that's it. Jeff, thanks for coming. Wonderful photos.
Thank you.
And everybody out in chat, we'll see you next week. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.